everyone, it's Ali from Ali Loves Card Making with a video for the Scrapbook Store. Today I'm using the Magic Iris die, which is so much fun to use, with Fairy Friends and the Hey Lady stamp sets, all from Fawn. Now, to make the interactive die work really well, I did watch a few YouTube videos, and one by Jennifer Maguire was really helpful, and so I've used a couple of Jennifer's tips in my video today. So I'm just going to show you what you need to start off with for the interactive card. So you need 3 of these circle kind of donut pieces, and I've just cut mine from my normal 250 GSM cardstock. And then one of those pieces you're going to line up the center with that wonky die and run it through your die cutting machine. Okay, so we've done that, and you can see it's cut some holes and a few little markings on that piece. Then you need 3 of the sausage pieces, and you need 1 of the tab pieces, and the tab piece I actually cut for some really heavyweight cardstock that I have, or you could cut, I guess, a few pieces and double them up with your normal cardstock. I just did that so that it was a bit stronger, because that's the piece you're going to move up and down. For the last 3 tabs I've used my thin printer paper, and I'll show you why I've decided to use that a little bit later on in the video, but I've just cut 3 of those little tab pieces from some normal printer paper. You'll need some mini glue dots as well to secure some of the pieces together. So I'm going to start by tucking in those little pieces on the end of the sausages, and then lining it up quite carefully with that circle piece, and then securing with some purple tape. And this is an idea from Jennifer Maguire's video, so I'd recommend watching that one, as I said before, for specifics on doing this. But it's just tucking them in quite tightly and then making sure it's lined up really well before securing it with your tape. And then you want to use your mini glue dots on those little crosses that you can see on the top of the piece. So you just put them right over the top and press them down quite firmly, because they need to be attached really well. So just attaching those little mini glue dots, and then you can see they're right over the top of those crosses. And then you need to pop one of your other circle pieces on the top and push it down again quite firmly so that it's attached really well to those mini glue dots. Then flip your piece over, and then you're going to put your tabs onto the back. And again, I cut it from very thin paper, because I've just found that you can get it just moving a little bit better with thinner paper there. So remove the backing from my double-sided tape and then secure the tabs on. So they go right to the center, and line them up with the center of that donut piece. You can see the little curve matches up perfectly, and you line it up with those embossed markings. Then I'm going to attach my tab, my puller piece. I'm just using double-sided tape there. And as I said, I cut it out of really firm cardstock just to give it a little bit more strength. And usually you would attach it to the middle of the circle like so, but I'm going to make a little bit of a modification and move it out about halfway, keeping it lined up as it would normally be, but just moving it out halfway so that it hangs out a little bit further off from the circle. So I'm just going to attach my tab pieces now, and you can use double-sided tape or tape runner, and then put your other circle piece, your last circle piece, over the top, and then fold over those tabs. You don't want to fold those tabs really tightly, but you don't want them loose either, otherwise all of your circle pieces will move too much, and it won't, when you open it fully, it won't have all lined up. So you kind of need to play around a little bit and get it firm but not too tight, so that the whole thing doesn't move well. And then you're just going to remove your purple tape pieces. And yeah, I just found we're using the thin printer paper for those tabs that I've just shown you. It worked. I could get it tight without making it really too tight, and then it should move. It's quite difficult to make it move without it being attached to something underneath, but it should move fairly freely. So that's why I've made my tab that little bit longer, so that it hangs over the edge of the card base, and I can use it really easily to make the iris open and close. Now I'm just going to create a front panel. This is a separate piece of card that I've got, and I'm lining up my iris just to see where I need to cut a hole in this panel, because this is going to sit over the front of the iris mechanism on the front of the card. So I've just lightly marked a pencil circle, and I looked through my stash to find a die that was about that same size and cut that out of my front panel. Ran it through my die cutting machine and cut that out. Just checking it was a good size, and now I'm using my Favourite Things stencil just to create my cloudy skies look for that front panel. And I've used tumbled glass distress oxide there. I also needed clouds so that when the iris was closed it looked like a seamless kind of pattern across the card. So I'm just lining it up to see where the cloud markings might need to go. And I just made a light mark with a pencil again so that I could keep it straight, line it up on my glass mat and keep it straight while I was doing the clouds. So I just went over again with the tumbled glass and made that little cloud pattern on the iris when it was closed. And that's how the front panel will sit over the top. So then I'm just going to create the lawn, and I made my own stencil just by using my lawn fawn border dies, just cutting it from paper and making my own stencil there. And I'm just using some old paper to colour in the lawn section. Just making sure that it all lines up okay and that it's going to sit on the front of a card well. And on the front of the card I also stenciled some clouds so that when the iris was fully open you could see all the way through. Now the next section I just had to do a bit of a mock-up because I forgot to press record on my phone, so it didn't actually record the next piece. But I'm just showing you how I've used 3D foam to pop up my iris part from the front of the card, because I wanted to attach some images directly in that gap and on the front of the card. So I didn't want it to catch as I was moving the iris open and shut. So I just needed to pop my mechanism off the front of the card a little bit. And I'm also showing you where I placed my 3D foam on my card front to attach my front panel. And you just want to make sure it doesn't catch on the tab that needs to move up and down. And I actually had 2 layers of 3D foam that I put on the front. So now I'm just popping on my front panel on top of the 3D foam. And now I'm going to cut and colour my images, stamping in Memento Tuxedo black ink. And then I stamped a few out in my Distress Oxides as well, a bit of the grass tendril images. I'm going to also individually roughly cut out my images, because I like to keep my dies all together, and doing it this way I can then keep my dies together, place my image behind my die and run it through my die cutting machine, and then I don't lose lots of my dies and have a problem with that. Now I'm going to stick my pieces to some purple tape, which makes it much easier to colour in, and I got this hint from Mona Toth, and also you can put them on post-it tape if you want to. Now I've attached my little images onto the front of the card in that iris hole, and it moves quite freely as you can see. And I've just done a couple of little ladybugs from the Hey Lady stamp set as well. I've used my Misty Cut Align ruler. I really like this ruler to cut my sentiments. It just makes a really nice even border around your sentiments, and I'm going to attach the sentiments on the top there as shown, and then it opens and closes like so. An adorable little scene, and I just love these fairy friends images. They're just so cute. I use them a lot. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.